Welcome back, fellow transmission enthusiast. I get a lot of jobs that come through the door here that are repair type work that other companies have done that customers aren't 100% satisfied with, or people that just want to upgrade to my builds. I get I've been in business long enough now to where I'm starting to get some refresh work come through the door, starting to get some updates. People, they start off with 800 or 1,000 horsepower builds. They want to step it up to larger builds. And so I thought it'd be a great idea to do a new series. And so we are going to call this new series Fix It Again. Today, we have a transmission here behind us that is going to be the first victim of our first episode here. So let me show you this thing. We'll talk a little bit about it. This is a 47RE 4x4 that was originally purchased with a truck. So the customer bought a new to him truck and it had a no-name transmission in it, and the customer kept killing lockup clutches. He was trying to do dirt drags with this truck, and he could do 1 or 2 spool ups with it, make 1 or 2 passes, and the lockup clutches would be fried in it. So he called me up, pretty local to here, up in Ohio, not too far away, explained to me what was going on with it, brought it down, and quickly identified that I had an input shaft with a really small lockup release hole, had a converter that are kind of known for having lockup clutch dragging issues. And so about 3 years ago, went through this thing for him and set him all up. Set him up with a Sonex 23 spline input shaft, Gearin extreme duty triple disc converter, Gearin full manual valve body, and then just went through it and made as much of it inside as possible, one of my own. 3 years later, we'll fast forward to, he has been dirt dragging the crap out of this thing. He has won several events with it. He pulled it out because he had the engine out of the truck, and so he thought that he'd pull the converter back and take a look at it, and found that the 23 spline input has a good amount of twist to it. Now, the truth is I've seen guys run them like this before, and it's possible that he could have stuck this thing back in and kept on going with it. But he's wanting to increase the power of the truck, and with the build being 3 years old, we wanted to go through it, check it out. He wanted to go ahead and upgrade to the 35 spline input, so he didn't have anything to worry about. So with this thing being a dirt drag transmission, that is why it is so nasty. That is one of the things that you have to combat with dirt drags, is all of the dirt, and that's why I typically won't do any hole vents in the case in a dirt drag application, because it's just too much prone to getting dirt into the converter, and I think you could cause more harm than good with it. So let's crack this thing open and take a look at how it's been living after 3 years of abuse. First thing I like to do is pull the overdrive section off and check out the overdrive brake clutches. These things look just as good as the day we put them in, and honestly, I don't know how much in a dirt drag application that this customer's been using overdrive, so I was expecting these to look like that, but it's good to see that they're still holding up nice. You can see this is one of my older 5 clutch setups. Really don't see any reason to upgrade to a 6 or 7 clutch. I'm going to contact the customer and just make sure he's not really using overdrive, but I doubt that it's something that he uses very often. Our second gear band here is getting a little tired of the party. She's ready to be replaced. The lining there is pretty dark. You can see the green color that is normally supposed to be in the middle, and then you can see the black transfer on the drum. Surprisingly, I actually don't feel anything on the drum, so I think I'll just be able to resurface this and not have to replace the drum. But 3 years of lockup in second gear, and it is time for a replacement band and a good drum resurface. Shoo-wee, these direct clutches said I'm out of here. These things are in pretty bad shape. It is a good thing that he went ahead and made the call to go through this thing, because it absolutely needed it. One of the biggest problems that we have with dirt drag trucks is keeping the trans temp in check. It is so hard when they do the round robin where you make a pass, you come back up, you make a pass. It builds so much heat in the transmission that it's really easy for some stuff like this to happen. The other problem is I do not like the way that the tree setup is on dirt drags. It's not like a typical drag race tree, so it's really easy to sit on a converter for a long time. And when you get the fluid hot, it just breaks down so easily that when you have a really important shifting clutch pack like the directs, it's easy for that fluid to break down and cause some problems. we've learned some stuff over the years. We got some tricks, so we'll be able to put this direct clutch back together better than it ever was before. Forward clutches are in great shape, which I was expecting to see these in perfectly fine shape. We never have forward clutch issues in pretty much anything. The Gearin Belleville spring definitely helps with that. We don't ever have any issues flipping Belleville springs, so we typically never have any issue with our forward clutches. Low reverse band and drum looks super good. This is on in first gear on manual valve body, and reverse, the rear band is. Everything looks super nice there. The drum, very happy. A lot of times people will struggle with the lube in between the drum and the overdrive piston support here. We actually do a lube mod that helps lubricate that. You can see the oil that came out of it still looks pretty good. So this is nice and happy. We won't need to do anything with this. Well, I pulled the pan off here and found a little oopsie that somebody did. Looks like sometime when this thing was serviced, it didn't get the screw that holds the filter on tightened all the way up and vibrated loose and fell out, and the filter's just barely hanging there. So no bueno. We'll talk to the customer about that and see if he has any information on that, but not good. Definitely could be a contributing factor into some of the carnage that we have seen. Now let's take a look at the gear train here, talk a little bit about thrust washers. So like I said earlier, one of the things you struggle with the dirt drag stuff is the fluid temp. It gets hot, fluid breaks down, you start seeing wear in the thrust washers here. This one isn't too bad. The Sun Gear thrust washer here in the Sun Shell, starting to get some heat in it. This thing's normally just a all copper color like that, so when you see that discoloring in there, that's a pretty good indication that it was starting to get a little hot. You can see there where you can wipe it off, so it's not too bad. But the biggest thing that happens is when you start pushing these things up around 1,000 horsepower and above, these front analless ring gear washers, they'll start wearing in on the outer edges there, and that's because this is a helical cut gear, and so this gear is trying to push into the thrust washer the whole time. So with us upgrading him to a higher powered build, we'll actually do a machined analless ring gear with a roller bearing in here that will eliminate that, and that'll fix this problem. We'll stick some new thrust washers in this thing and get it back together. Into the front pump here, and we found some more heat related carnage. The brass on the pump bushing is starting to delaminate, flake off, and that causes all kinds of problems there. And that happens because the converter is the hottest thing in your transmission. In fact, it's the only thing that generates heat in your transmission, and that is what gets really hot when you're doing back-to-back spool up and races on dirt drag. So this is something that we have to combat, and your customers really got to have a good cooling system to try to combat that. So we'll definitely talk with the customer, go over his cooling system, make sure that if he needs to change it, he does, and we'll go through and we'll get this fixed back up. Got the overdrive section apart, and everything looks nice and happy. Overdrive directs are in perfect shape, which they always should be. If your overdrive directs don't look like this, then usually it's because the 800-pound spring in here is starting to collapse, or you missed it on your overdrive selective spacer. So these look great. We'll clean everything up and stick it back together. Alrighty, we got her all freshened back up, ready to go. We did a 35 spline input, went ahead and painted the pump orange. Customer's got like a burnt orange type of paint job on his truck. It's like an orange and black deal, so we did that for just a little bit of fun. Did a gloss black paint job that the customer requested on it. Got it all ready to go back to him. So that's going to do it for this first episode of Fix It Again. If you guys like this new little video series here, drop a comment down below and let me know what you think. If you're new here, make sure you click that subscribe button so that way you can follow along with all these new videos. Thank you guys. Catch you next time.